No one came to my daughter's birthday. Days later, Mom texted, "Need $1,850 for your sister's sweet 16." I sent $1 with congrats, changed the locks, then the police arrived. Empty room. I'm standing in the middle of the living room, surrounded by everything that should make for a perfect children's party. Pink and purple balloons hang from the ceiling, garlands with glitter, a table covered with a paper tablecloth with unicorns, a two-tiered cake with white frosting and gold sprinkles, with 8 candles waiting to be lit. 8 because Kylie is turning 7, but we always add 1 extra for good luck. Plates, napkins, plastic cups. Everything is set for 15 children. I checked my phone for the 10th time in the last 20 minutes. Nothing. No calls, no messages. Kylie is sitting on the sofa in her new dress, blue with ruffles, which we spent an hour choosing together in the store. She's holding the teddy bear I gave her this morning on her lap and staring at the door. She's not crying. She's just staring. That's even worse than tears. "Mom, maybe they got lost," she asks quietly, "or stuck in traffic." I force myself to smile, even though my face feels like wood. "Maybe, sweetie. Let's wait a little longer, okay?" But I already know. No one is coming. The party was supposed to start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and now it's already 3:30. I called 3 mothers from the parents' chat. 2 hung up, the 3rd answered, but her voice was tense, awkward. "I'm sorry, Monica. We have unexpected plans. We won't be able to come." And she hung up immediately. I asked if everything was okay, if I had offended anyone, but there was no answer, just silence. 3 years ago, when we first moved here to Philadelphia, I thought everything would finally work out. Kylie and I ran away from Trent in the middle of the night. We took 2 bags of clothes, got on a bus, and left. I didn't leave a note. I didn't tell anyone where we were going. I just disappeared. I had savings, a little over $2,000, which I had been hiding for a year, putting aside a few bills from each paycheck, while Trent drank away the rest at the bar on the corner of our block in Pittsburgh. Kylie was 4 at the time. She didn't understand what was going on, but when I gathered her toys in the middle of the night, she didn't ask any questions. She just looked at me with her big dark eyes, so similar to Trent's, and it always hurt because I saw not his anger in them, but only fear. I had Kylie when I was 19. It was an accident. Trent and I had only been dating for 6 months, and when I saw the 2 lines on the test, I sat on the bathroom floor and shook. I wanted to continue my education, maybe become a teacher or work with children. But my mother, Gloria, said, "You made a mistake. Now fix it." She insisted on a wedding, a quick one, without guests, just at the city hall. "At least you'll have some kind of decent life," she said. At the time, I thought she was just worried. Now I understand. She was just ashamed that her eldest daughter had fallen. Trent didn't drink that much back then. He worked in a warehouse, brought money home, even smiled sometimes. But when Kylie turned 1, something changed. He started coming home drunk, yelling, shoving. The first time he hit me, my daughter was a 1.5 years old. I fell and hit my shoulder on the corner of the dresser. He cried afterwards, begged for forgiveness, swore it was the last time. I believed him. Stupid me. The next 2 years were hell. He hit me when he was having a bad day at work, when his favorite team lost, when I didn't cook what he wanted. I tried to hide the bruises under my clothes, smile at the neighbors, pretend that everything was fine. My mother knew. She saw me several times with a bruised face, but she only said, "All men are like that. Put up with it. You're a mother." I endured it. I didn't even think about the police or the courts. Trent's father was an influential man and would have hushed up the case. He hated me. Until one evening, Trent lashed out at Kylie. She spilled something on the floor. Juice or milk, I don't remember. He didn't care. He grabbed her arm so hard that she screamed, and I saw a red mark appear on her small wrist. Something inside me snapped. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just knew we had to leave. Immediately. Philadelphia seemed big enough to disappear in and far enough away that Trent wouldn't find us by accident. I got a job as an accountant at a small logistics company. The pay isn't great, but it's enough for an apartment, food, and daycare for Kylie, and now school. We live quietly, modestly. I don't leave the house unless I have to. I don't have any friends. I don't go on dates. All I need is for Kylie to be safe and able to just be a kid. And today, on her birthday, I decided to do something special for the first time in 3 years. I invited her classmates over to have a real party. I even called my mom and sister Ashley and asked them to come. I bought them bus tickets from Pittsburgh, $120 round trip. Mom said, "We'll see, maybe we can." I took that as a yes, but they're not here either. I called her yesterday, reminded her of the time and address. She replied briefly, "I remember." And that was it. This morning. No messages, no calls. I don't understand what happened. It's as if everyone has conspired against us. Kylie gets up from the sofa and walks over to the table where the cake is. She traces her finger around the edge of the plate without touching the cream. "Can we just eat it together, Mom?" she asks, her voice trembling. "I'm already hungry." I walk over and put my arms around her shoulders. "Of course, sweetie. Let's light the candles and you can make a wish." My hands are shaking as I strike the match. Kylie blows out the candles with her eyes closed, and I try not to cry. We eat cake together, sitting at a large table surrounded by empty chairs, untouched plates, and balloons, slowly deflating. 2 days later, I get a call from Cindy Morrison, the mother of one of the girls in Kylie's class. She's the only one who agreed to talk. "Monica, I feel very uncomfortable," she says, and I can hear genuine embarrassment in her voice. "But I thought you should know. A week ago, a man came to the school. He was tall with dark hair. He asked the teachers about you and Kylie. He showed some papers and said that you were her mother, but that you had illegally taken the child from him. He said that you had problems, mental problems, that you were using some kind of substance, and that he was taking legal action to get his daughter back. I feel cold inside." "What? Who was it?" "He said he was Kaylee's father. Trent something. I don't remember his last name. Oh, I'm sorry, Monica, but..." Many parents were scared. They didn't want to take any chances. That's why they didn't let their children come to the birthday party. I know it's unfair, but... I hang up without waiting for her to finish her sentence. Trent. He found us. I don't understand how... I didn't leave any traces. I didn't write to anyone from my old life. I didn't use social media. But he found us. And he started spreading lies. I grab the phone and dial my mom. She doesn't answer right away, and when she does, her voice is cold. "What is it, Monica?" "Mom, why didn't you come to Kylie's birthday party? I bought you tickets. You promised." Ashley and I were busy. Besides, it's a long way. Not everyone can afford to spend a whole day on... On your granddaughter? I interrupt, my voice rising involuntarily. On the only granddaughter you last saw 6 months ago. She is silent for a few seconds, then says, "Monica, Ashley and I need money for her birthday. Sweet 16, it's important to her. We need $1,050. Can you transfer it by Friday?" I can't believe my ears. Not a word of apology. Not a question about how Kylie and I celebrated without them. Just a demand for money. "Are you serious?" I ask quietly. "Ashley deserves a nice party. You know how it is." I hang up without listening to the rest. My hands are shaking so much I can barely hold the phone. I open Venmo, find my mom's account, and send her $1. In the message, I write one word: congratulations. Then I block her number. I block Ashley's too. In the evening, I call a locksmith. He arrives in an hour and changes the locks on the front door. I once gave my mom spare keys in case they wanted to visit us. Now those keys are useless. The locksmith looks at me a little surprised. Probably because he sees my face, red from unshed tears. But he doesn't ask any questions. He takes the money and leaves. I go to bed next to Kylie that night, just like I used to in the past. I hug her, listen to her steady breathing, and try not to think about Trent being somewhere nearby, that he's looking for us, that he spoke at school. On the morning of November 7th at 7 o'clock, someone rings the doorbell, loudly, insistently. I wake up to the sound, my heart pounding so hard it hurts. I walk to the door barefoot, in an old t-shirt, and look through the peephole. 2 police officers, a man and a woman, both in uniform. I open the door just wide enough for the chain. Yes. "Monica Turner?" asks the man. He is tall, around 40, with gray hair at the temples. "Yes, that's me." He takes out a piece of paper and shows it to me. "We have a temporary removal order for a child. Kylie Collins. She is 7 years old." "Is she here?" I feel the floor shifting beneath my feet. They take Kylie straight from her bed. I try to explain, begging them to give me at least an hour to pack her things. But the female police officer just says, "You better cooperate, ma'am." She says it softly but firmly, and I realize I have no choice. The social worker who came with them, a young woman of about 25, stands by the door and looks away. She seems uncomfortable, but that doesn't stop her. Kylie cries as I put her jacket on. She clings to me, and I feel her little fingers digging into my arm. "Mommy, don't give me away. I'll be good, I promise." I hold her so tightly that I'm afraid I'll hurt her and whisper in her hair, "It won't be long, sweetie. A few days and you'll be back, I promise. I'll fix everything." But I don't know if that's true. The social worker gently takes Kylie by the shoulder and leads her to the door. The child turns around, reaches out to me, cries. I stand in the middle of the hallway, barefoot in an old t-shirt, watching my daughter being led out the door. The police leave me a piece of paper, a copy of the warrant, the phone number for child services, the date of the preliminary hearing. November 23rd, 2 weeks from now. When the door closes, I sit down on the floor and can't breathe. My chest tightens, my ears are ringing. A panic attack. I remember them from my life with Trent. I try to count my breaths as my psychologist once taught me. 1, 2, 3, exhale. 1, 2, 3. Slowly, my heart calms down. I get up, go to the bathroom, and wash my face with cold water. I look at myself in the mirror. My face is pale. There are dark circles under my eyes. My hair is messy. I look just like Trent described me, unstable, dangerous. For the next 3 days, I hardly sleep. I read everything I can find on the internet about parental rights, temporary custody, how social services work. I call a free legal hotline, but all they tell me is, "You need a lawyer. We can't help with cases like this." I check my finances. I have $3,200 in my account. That's all I have. My rent is $850 a month, plus utilities, food, and gas. The lawyers I find on Google charge $5,000 for custody cases. I don't have that kind of money. I call every law firm on the list I can find. And finally, on about the 15th try, someone agrees to meet with me. Clarissa Henning. Her office is in an old building on the outskirts of town, on the 2nd floor above a Chinese restaurant. As I climb the stairs, I smell fried noodles and something spicy. The reception area is tiny with just 2 chairs and a table covered with a pile of folders. On the wall is a law school diploma dated 1989. Clarissa comes out to meet me herself. She is in her 50s with short gray hair, glasses on a chain, and harsh features. She's wearing a dark blue suit, a little old-fashioned in style, but clean and ironed. She shakes my hand firmly with a manly handshake. "Sit down, Monica. Tell me everything from the beginning. No embellishments." I sit down and talk. I talk about Trent, how we met, how I got pregnant, how my mother insisted on a wedding, about the beatings, about how he pushed me, punched me, choked me when he was drunk, about how I went to the hospital twice, once with a broken rib, the second time with a concussion. But I didn't report it to the police because I was afraid, because he said that if I told anyone, he would kill me. About how we ran away 3 years ago, in the middle of the night, without warning, about how we never formalized the divorce because I thought that if I disappeared, he would forget about us. Clarissa listens without writing anything down, just looking at me through her glasses. When I finish, she is silent for a few seconds, then asks, "Do you have any evidence of the beatings? Medical reports, photographs, police reports?" I nod. "I have medical reports, too, but they don't say it was him. I said I fell, that I hit my head on the door." "I see. What about witnesses? Did anyone see him hit you? Neighbors, friends, relatives?" "I think. Mrs. Verla, our former neighbor in Pittsburgh. She knocked on the door twice when Trent was yelling. Once she even threatened to call the police. Maybe she'll agree to testify. There's one woman, a neighbor, she heard it. Okay, get in touch with her. I need her testimony." Clarissa leans forward, folding her arms on the table. "Now tell me honestly, why didn't you file for divorce officially? Why did you just run away?" I swallow the lump in my throat. Because Trent's parents are rich. His father had a law firm, money, connections, and I had nothing. No education, no support. My mother refused to help me. She said it was my own fault for marrying him. I knew that if I went to court, he would take Kylie away. He'd hire lawyers, buy witnesses, make me look guilty. So I just ran away. I thought it would be safer that way. Clarissa sighs. It was a mistake. A big mistake, but now we have to work with what we have. She takes out a folder, opens it, and pulls out a few sheets of paper. I read your ex-husband's statement. He claims that you took the child without his permission, that you are emotionally unstable, that you are incapable of caring for your daughter properly. He has a witness, your mother, Gloria Turner. She's already given preliminary testimony to Child Services. She says that you were aggressive, depressed, that you left the child with her for weeks without contact, that you often cried, yelled at the child, couldn't control your emotions. I listen and I want to scream. It's all a lie. I never yelled at Kylie. Never. I only left her with my mother twice. Once when Trent broke my rib and I couldn't walk, and the second time when I was looking for a job and had no one to leave the child with. Both times I called every day. Did I cry? Yes, but not in front of Kylie. I hid in the bathroom and covered my mouth with a towel so the baby wouldn't hear. That's not true, I say quietly. Everything she says is a lie. I believe you, Clarissa says unexpectedly. But judges need evidence, not faith. I need to figure out why your ex-husband suddenly decided to take the child after 3 years of silence. There's always a reason in cases like this. Money, revenge, control, something. Give me a few days. I'll dig around. She takes $1,000 from me as an advance. That's all I can afford. She says she'll take the rest if we win. If we lose, she won't take anything. I sign the contract with a trembling hand and leave her office, feeling like I've just done either the smartest or the dumbest thing in my life. 4 days later, Clarissa calls me in the evening. Her voice is tense, but there is something like satisfaction in it. "Monica, we need to meet. Now I found a reason." We meet in her office at 9 in the evening. She sits at her desk, papers spread out in front of her, printouts of documents. She shows me one of them, a copy of a will. Robert Collins, Trent's father, died 8 months ago. Heart attack. He left a will, and there's a clause about your daughter. She points to a line. To my only granddaughter, Kylie Ann Collins, I bequeath the sum of $50,000 to be held in trust until she reaches the age of 18. The child's guardian shall have the right to dispose of these funds solely for the benefit of the child. Education, medical care, housing. I look at the paper, not understanding. I didn't know anything about this. His father hated me. He never recognized Kylie as his granddaughter. Maybe he felt guilty, Clarissa says. Or maybe he just wanted to do something right before he died. But the point is, the child's guardian controls that money. And right now, according to the documents, Trent is the legal guardian. He's the father, you're not officially divorced, and he filed for court first. Do you see where I'm going with this? I nod slowly. My heart is beating so loudly that I can hear it. He needs the money. Exactly. Clarissa takes out another piece of paper. My friend, a private investigator, did some digging. Trent still works at the warehouse, but after his father died, he took out loans. $23,000 in credit card debt, $10,000 in a car loan. He's on the verge of bankruptcy. $50,000 would save him. He doesn't want custody of Kylie because he loves his daughter. He wants access to the inheritance. I sit there trying to digest this. It all makes sense. Trent never loved Kylie. He tolerated her because he had to, but he never really cared about her. And suddenly, 3 years after we disappeared, he shows up, files a lawsuit, spreads lies. It's all about the money. What about my mother? I ask. Does she know about the money too? Clarissa nods. Yes, Trent promised her $10,000 if she helped him take the child. But that's not the only reason. She looks at me intently. Your mother really believes that you ruined your life up by having a child so early. She told the detective that you could have had a better life if you had had an abortion or given the child up for adoption. That you are too young and unstable to be a mother. She really wants to take Kylie away with her, to raise her properly. Trent doesn't mind this arrangement. He gets access to money, she gets the child, everyone's happy, except you. I sit there and can't believe what I'm hearing. My mother, the woman who gave birth to me, fed me, clothed me, she sold me, sold her granddaughter for $10,000 and the illusion of control. What should I do? I ask, my voice breaking. Fight, Clarissa says firmly. We're going to court, and we're going to prove that Trent is dangerous, that he only wants the child for the money, that you are the only normal parental guardian for Kylie. We need witnesses, evidence, everything we can gather. We have 2 weeks. I leave Clarissa's at midnight. I drive home through the dark streets, and one thought runs through my head. How could I have been so wrong about people? I thought that my mother, no matter how cold she was, still loved me at least a little, that Trent, if he didn't change, would at least leave us alone. But they both turned out to be worse than I could have imagined. The next morning, I drive to the courthouse to get copies of the documents for Clarissa. I get out of the car in the parking lot and see him. Trent is standing at the entrance, smoking a cigarette. He noticed me when I got out of the car. He was waiting. He looks almost the same as he did 3 years ago. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair cut short. His face is a little fuller with bags under his eyes, but overall he's in good shape. Dressed in jeans and a dark jacket, nothing special. He looks like an ordinary man. No one would guess that he broke my ribs and choked me until I lost consciousness. He approaches me, and I involuntarily take a step back. But he smiles, calmly, almost friendly. Monica, how are you? I don't answer. I look at him, trying to keep my face impassive. He takes a drag on his cigarette and exhales the smoke to the side. Listen, let's skip all the drama, okay? I don't want courts, lawyers, all that crap. It's expensive. It takes a long time. It upsets everyone. Let's settle this like human beings. What are you talking about? I ask quietly. Give me Kylie voluntarily? He says it easily, as if he were talking about the weather. You sign the papers, give up custody, and I'll give you $5,000 in cash to start with. So you can get settled, find a new place to live, a job, whatever. Everyone's happy. I feel something cold and hard ignite inside me. You're crazy if you think I'm going to give you my daughter? He sighs, as if disappointed. Monica, be reasonable. You're losing. I have your mother as a witness. She'll tell the judge all about your instability. I have neighbors from Kylie's school who will confirm that you're dangerous. I've already told them everything. I have people from my old town who will testify that you ran away without a divorce, without permission to take the child, breaking all the laws. And what do you have? Nothing. You're a single mother with no education, no support, living in a cheap apartment and barely making ends meet. Whose side do you think the judge will take? I clench my fists so tightly that my nails dig into my palms. The judges will side with the child, and Kylie is safe with me. Trent smiles wider, and there is nothing good about that smile. We'll see. Good luck, Monica. You'll need it. He turns and walks to his pickup truck. I stand in the parking lot, trembling with anger and fear, and I realize he's confident he'll win. He has a plan, he has money, he has witnesses. And I only have the truth. And I don't know if that's enough. I have 14 days until the preliminary hearing. Clarice makes a list of what we need. Medical records, neighbor testimony, proof that Trent hasn't paid a penny for Kylie in 3 years, records of his alcoholism, anything that can prove his unfitness as a father. As I sit in her office with a notebook and write. My hands shaking so much that I can barely hold the pen. You said you have medical records, Clarissa says without looking up from her list. You need to go to Pittsburgh and get copies, official ones with stamps. Who admitted you to the hospital? Once it was Lena Kershaw. She's a nurse in the emergency room. We've been friends since school. Okay, get in touch with her. She may remember details that could help. Oh, who else could have seen the signs of abuse? Neighbors, colleagues, relatives. I think Mrs. Verla, our neighbor on the same floor. She lived next door and heard everything. Once she even brought me ice for a bruise without asking any questions, just silently handed me the bag and left. That's when I realized she knew. There is one woman, Verla James. She lived next door to us. She heard the screams, saw me after that. Call her. If she agrees, bring her to my office for a chat. I need to know what exactly she can confirm. Clarice puts down her pen and looks at me seriously. Monica, I'll be honest. This is a complicated case. You ran away without an official divorce, without court permission to move with your child. Technically, this could be interpreted as kidnapping. Trent is using that. But we have a chance if we can prove that you did it to save yourself and your child from abuse. That's why every detail is important. Every bruise, every scream, every call to the police. I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. I'll have to go back there, to Pittsburgh, to the place I ran away from and where all my demons still live. I leave early the next morning. The drive takes 2.5 hours, and the whole time I try not to think about the possibility of running into Trent or my mother on the street. Pittsburgh greets me with gray skies and rain, just as gloomy as I remember it. I drive down familiar streets, past the old supermarket where my mother and I used to buy groceries, past the school I went to, past the house where I grew up. I don't stop. I drive straight to the hospital. Lena is working the morning shift. I wait for her at the entrance to the emergency room until she comes out for a smoke break. She recognizes me immediately, even though we haven't seen each other in 3 years. Her face is tired, with dark circles under her eyes, but her smile is sincere. Monica, oh my God, I can't believe it. Where have you been? We hug, and I feel the tension ease a little. Lena is one of the few people who knew the truth about Trent and never judged me for putting up with it. She herself experienced abuse in her first marriage and understands how difficult it is to break free. I briefly tell her about the situation, about Trent filing for divorce, about Kylie, about needing medical records. Lena listens, biting her lip grimly, and then says, "Wait here. I'll see what I can do." She returns 20 minutes later with a folder. Inside are copies of my medical records. 2 visits to the emergency room. The first was 3 years ago for a broken rib. The record states the patient claims she fell down the stairs. But there are photos. My torso, completely covered in finger-shaped bruises. The second visit was for a concussion, a split lip, and bruised jaws. The record states the patient claims she hit a cabinet door. Again, there are photos. My face is swollen and bloody. I look at these photos and don't recognize myself. Is that me? This woman with dead eyes and a broken face? I remember that second time, Lena says quietly. You came in at 3 in the morning. You could barely stand. I asked you who did it, and you just kept repeating, I just fell. Monica, I knew it was a lie. We all knew. But you didn't want to talk, and we couldn't make you. I was afraid, I say, my voice breaking. Afraid he'd kill me if I told, or take Kylie away. Lena puts her hand on my shoulder. You did what you had to do. You ran away. You saved yourself and your child. That's the hardest thing anyone can do. She hands me a folder. Take this. If necessary, I can testify in court, officially. I'll say that I saw you, that the records are real, that we had suspicions of domestic violence. I hug her so tightly that she gasps. Thank you. You have no idea how important this is. The next stop is Mrs. Verla. She still lives in the same building, apartment 207. I climb the familiar stairs, which smell of dampness and old carpet. I ring the doorbell. I hear footsteps, the clank of a chain, and the door opens a few centimeters. Mrs. Verla looks at me through the crack and doesn't recognize me at first, but then her eyes widen. Monica? My godchild, is that you? She opens the door completely. She's about 70, gray-haired, short, wearing a housecoat and slippers, but her eyes are clear and alert. She invites me in, makes tea, and we sit in her kitchen, which smells of cinnamon and something homemade. I tell her everything. She listens without interrupting, sometimes just nodding. When I finish, she sighs heavily. I knew something was wrong. I heard him yelling at you. I heard you crying. I saw you in the hallway with bruises. Once I wanted to call the police, but you begged me not to. You said it would only make things worse. I didn't know what to do. It's not your fault, I say quickly. You did everything you could, but now I need your help. I have to testify in court to confirm that he was aggressive, that there was violence. Do you agree? Mrs. Verla takes my hand in hers, dry and warm. Of course, child. I'll tell them everything I know. I'll help in any way I can. I leave her with the feeling that a small stone has been laid in the foundation of my case. But the hardest part is yet to come. I need to talk to my sister. Ashley was always Mom's favorite child. She was younger, unblemished by mistakes, as Gloria liked to say. I had Kylie at 19 and became a burden. Ashley was the perfect daughter. Obedient, diligent, problem-free. Or at least that's what Mom thought. We were never close, but I thought we had some kind of connection. Turns out we didn't. I waited for her outside her school. I called her several times, but she ignored my calls. I sent her a text message, but she ignored it. So I just showed up and waited by the exit. School ends at 3. Teenagers pour out in crowds, noisy, laughing. I see Ashley right away. She's tall with shoulder-length dark hair, jeans, and sneakers. She's walking with her friends, telling them something, gesturing. She looks happy. I approach her, and she stops. The smile disappears from her face. Her friends look at me with curiosity, but Ashley says briefly, "Go on, I'll catch up." They walk away, looking back, and we are left alone by the school fence. "What do you want, Monica?" Ashley asks, her voice cold and adult. "I need to talk to you." About Kylie, about what Mom is doing. She rolls her eyes. Mom isn't doing anything. She just wants to help Kylie. Help? I try not to raise my voice. Ashley, Trent has filed a lawsuit to take my daughter away from me. Mom is testifying against me. She's lying, saying I'm a bad mother. And why? Because Trent promised her money. $10,000 from Kylie's grandfather's inheritance. This isn't about the child's welfare. It's about money. Ashley looks at me skeptically. Mom said you'd lie. That you'll make up stories to make yourself look like a victim. She crosses her arms over her chest. She said you've always been selfish. You had a baby to get away from home, and now you pretend you're doing everything for her. Kylie will be better off with her grandmother than with you in some hole. Her words hit me like slaps. I stand there trying to understand. Is this really my sister talking? The girl I used to put to bed, read stories to, buy ice cream with my last money. Ashley, you don't understand. Trent beat me for years. I ran away because I was afraid he would kill me or hurt Kylie. Mom knew about it. She saw the bruises, heard me crying, but she did nothing. And now she's helping him take my child away. This isn't love, it's betrayal. Ashley is silent for a few seconds, and I see something flash in her eyes. Maybe doubt, maybe pity. But then she presses her lips together and says, "If he really beat you, why didn't you go to the police? Why did you just run away like a thief?" She takes a step back. "Mom says you're making it all up, that you're dramatizing to justify your actions. I believe her more than I believe you. I realize I've lost. Gloria has been turning Ashley against me for years. She told her version of the story, where I'm the loser and she's the savior. And Ashley believed her because it's easier for her that way, because then she doesn't have to feel guilty." "Fine," I say quietly. "If you want to believe her, that's your business. But know this. When she uses you the same way she used me, you'll remember this and understand everything yourself." I turn and walk to the car without looking back. I hear her shouting something after me, but I can't make out the words. I don't care. I've lost my sister. Maybe I lost her a long time ago. In the evening, I go to a bar on the outskirts of town, the same one where Trent used to spend his evenings when we still lived together. Clarissa advised me to try to find witnesses to his drunkenness, perhaps one of the bartenders or patrons. I park across the street, sit in the car, and watch. Around 8 o'clock in the evening, I see his pickup truck in the parking lot. He's here. I didn't plan to go inside. I just wanted to make sure he was still drinking. But then I see him coming out with a group of men, 3 or 4 of them, all loud and laughing. Trent is swaying, not badly, but noticeably. They're standing at the entrance, smoking, and I can hear snippets of conversation, something about football, about work. I take out my phone and turn on the camera. I hold it so they can't see it, just pointing the lens in their direction through the car window. I start recording. One of Trent's friends says something and they all laugh. Trent takes a sip from the beer bottle he's holding and suddenly looks in my direction. Our eyes meet. He recognizes the car, or me. His face changes. The smile disappears. He says something to his friends and walks towards me. I want to start the engine and drive away, but I don't have time. He's already at the window, knocking on the glass with his fist. Get out!" he yells. "Get out! Let's talk face to face!" I don't get out. I keep the door locked, but he doesn't back down. He grabs the handle and jerks it. The door won't budge. He slams his palm against the glass again, and I see his face up close, red, sweaty, contorted with rage. "You stole my child," he yells so loudly that people in the parking lot turn around. "You stole my money. My father wrote his will specifically to make me suffer, so you could take everything." Trent's friends come over and try to pull him away. One says, "Trent, calm down, man. The police will come if you keep this up." But Trent pushes him away. "I don't care. That bitch ruined my life. It's time to teach you a lesson again." He punches the hood of my car, leaving a dent. I hold my phone and record everything. His drunk face, his screams, his aggression. This is gold for the court. Finally, his friends pull him back, almost dragging him to his pickup truck. One of them looks back at me and yells, "Get out of here, just go." I start the engine with trembling hands and drive out of the parking lot. My heart is pounding so hard it hurts, but I have the recording. Trent is drunk, aggressive, yelling about money, about beatings. This is what we need. I'm driving back to Philadelphia, and my phone rings halfway there. An unknown number. I pick up the phone. "Hello?" Silence. Then my mother's voice, cold, sharp. "Monica, it's me. I took this phone because you blocked me." I don't say anything. I don't know what to say. "I want you to know that you were never a good daughter. You were always selfish, only thinking about yourself. And you won't be a good mother. Kylie deserves better. Do everyone a favor. Step aside. Give her a normal life." She hangs up without waiting for a response. I hold the phone to my ear for a few more seconds, listening to the dial tone. Then I put it on the seat and continue driving. There's no more pain inside me, no tears, only cold, hard anger. Mom made her choice. She chose money over me. She chose the illusion of control over the truth. And I'm not afraid of her anymore. For the first time in my life, I'm ready to fight. Not to make her like me, not to be accepted by her, but for my daughter, for Kylie, for us. On the morning of November 23rd, I wake up at 5, even though my alarm is set for 7. I can't sleep. I lie and stare at the ceiling, going over everything that might happen today in my head. The hearing is scheduled for 10 in the morning. Clarice warned me that it could last several hours, maybe even the whole day. She told me to dress simply but neatly. Nothing bright, nothing provocative. I choose dark, gray pants, a white blouse, a black jacket that I bought at a thrift store specifically for this occasion. I put my hair in a low ponytail, light makeup. I look at myself in the mirror and see a pale woman with dark circles under her eyes. But my gaze is firm. I'm ready. I arrive at the courthouse at 8:30. Clarissa is already there, standing at the entrance with a briefcase and 2 folders. She's wearing a dark blue suit. Her hair is neatly styled, and she has glasses on her nose. She looks serious and professional. She sees me and nods. "Monica, are you ready?" "As ready as I can be," I say, my voice trembling slightly. She takes me by the elbow and leads me inside. "Listen to me carefully. When you testify, look at the judge, not Trent, not your mother. Speak calmly, don't raise your voice. If Trent's lawyer tries to provoke you, pause, take a breath, and answer clearly. Don't give them a reason to say you're emotionally unstable. Understand?" I nod. We go through the metal detector and go up to the 3rd floor. Courtroom 307. We enter, and I immediately see Trent. He is sitting at a table on the left. Next to him is his lawyer, a man in his 50s, gray-haired, wearing an expensive suit. Trent is wearing a dark suit, white shirt, and tie. His hair is neatly combed. His face is clean-shaven. He looks respectable, almost decent. When I enter, he looks at me, but his face is expressionless. No anger, no aggression, just a cold, calm gaze. Behind him, in the 2nd row, sits my mother. Gloria is wearing a gray knee-length dress. Her hair is pulled back in a bun, and she is wearing light makeup. She looks older than I remember, or just tired. When our eyes meet, she doesn't look away. She looks at me as if I were a stranger. The judge enters at 10 o'clock sharp. She is a woman in her 60s, gray-haired, wearing a black robe and glasses perched on the tip of her nose. She sits down, looks through her papers, and then looks at us. Case number 3418. Trent Collins v. Monica Turner, custody of minor, Kylie Joanne Collins. She takes off her glasses, looks first at Trent, then at me. This is a preliminary hearing, but given the volume of evidence and witnesses, it may turn into a full trial. We are here to determine in whose best interests it is to retain custody of the child. Mr. Hope, are you representing the plaintiff? Trent's lawyer stands up. Yes, Your Honor. Daniel Hope, representing Mr. Collins. Ms. Henning, are you representing the defendant? Clarissa stands up. Yes, Your Honor. Clarissa Henning, representing Monica Turner. The judge nods. All right, let's begin. Mr. Hope, state your case. Daniel Hope stands up, straightens his shoulders. His voice is deep, confident, pleasant to the ear. He says that Trent Collins is Kylie's father, who hasn't seen his daughter for 3 years because Monica Turner illegally took the child out of Pittsburgh without his permission and without an official divorce. That Mr. Collins was looking for them, trying to find them, but Monica was hiding. That he finally found them and wants to restore his parental rights, to provide his daughter with a stable life. That Mr. Collins has overcome his alcohol problem, attends a support group, has a stable job, and is ready to be a responsible father. He doesn't mention money, not a word about inheritance, only about the welfare of the child and restoring the family. Then the first witness is called Gloria. My mother stands up, walks to the podium, places her hand on the Bible, and swears to tell the truth. She sits down, folds her hands on her lap. She looks calm and confident. Hope asks her gently, delicately. She says that Monica has always been a difficult child, that she gave birth to Kylie very early at 19 and wasn't ready for motherhood, that she often left the child with her, Gloria, for weeks, sometimes even longer, that she didn't call or ask how the child was doing, that she was distant, depressed, emotionally cold. Mrs. Turner, Hope says, were you concerned about your granddaughter's well-being? Of course, Gloria replies, her voice trembling slightly as if she's holding back tears. I always loved Kylie. I wanted her to grow up in a safe, stable environment. But Monica didn't give me the opportunity to help. She ran away without telling anyone. I didn't see my granddaughter for 3 years. It was difficult. I clench my fists under the table so hard that my nails dig into my palms. Clarissa puts her hand on my shoulder and says quietly, "Calm down. It's my turn now." Hope finishes, and Clarissa stands up. She walks to the podium and looks at Gloria coldly. "Miss Turner, you said your daughter left Kylie with you for a week. How many times did that happen?" Gloria thinks for a moment. "A few times. I don't remember exactly." "Twice," Clarissa says clearly. "Only twice in 7 years. Once when your daughter was in the hospital with a broken rib. The second time when she was looking for a job after the baby was born. Is that correct?" Gloria is silent. Then she nods reluctantly. "Maybe. I don't remember exactly." "And during those 2 times, your daughter called you every day to find out how the baby was doing. Is that correct?" "She called, yes." "Then why did you say she wasn't interested in the baby?" Clarissa looks at her piercingly. "Mrs. Turner, did you know that your son-in-law was beating your daughter?" Gloria swallows. Her face tenses. I heard that they had conflicts." "Arguments? She was hospitalized twice with serious injuries. You saw the bruises on her face, on her body. You knew he drank and became aggressive. Why didn't you help her?" "I didn't think the arguments went that far." Gloria looks away. "She chose to marry him. I couldn't control their relationship or know everything about it. But you could have supported your daughter when she was fleeing violence," Clarissa says firmly. "Instead, you blame her for being a bad mother. Tell me, Mrs. Turner, is it true that Mr. Collins promised you $10,000 if you helped him get custody of Kylie?" The room falls silent. Gloria turns pale. That's not true. That's not true." Clarissa takes out a piece of paper and shows it to the judge. "Your Honor, this is a printout of messages between Mr. Collins and Mrs. Turner. They clearly discuss the amount of payment after gaining access to Kylie's grandfather's inheritance. I request that it be added to the case file." The judge takes the paper and looks it over. Her face hardens. She looks at Gloria. "Ms. Turner, do you have anything to add?" Gloria is silent. She lowers her gaze. Clarissa returns to the table, and I see Trent nervously moving his jaw. Next, Trent's witnesses are called. 2 of his friends testify that he spent 3 years looking for his daughter, never stopped thinking about her, and wants to be a good father. One of the parents of children from Kylie's school says that he hardly ever saw Monica at school events, that she was always withdrawn and strange, and did not communicate with other parents. Another adds that he heard from Trent about his experiences and that he seemed sincere and caring. But then it's Clarissa's turn. She calls Mrs. Verla. The old woman slowly walks to the podium, takes the oath, and sits down. Clarissa asks her gently, without pressure, "Mrs. James, you live next door to the Collinses in Pittsburgh. What did you hear and see?" Mrs. Verla looks at Trent, and her face becomes stern. "I heard screams almost every night. He yelled at her, called her horrible names. I heard things falling, a child crying. Once I knocked on the door and asked if everything was okay. Monica opened the door covered in bruises, her lip broken. She said she had fallen, but I knew that wasn't true. I saw him push her in the hallway, how she was afraid of him. It was horrible. Why didn't you call the police?" I wanted to, Mrs. Verla says quietly, but Monica begged me not to. She said it would only make things worse. I didn't know what to do. Now I regret not insisting. Clarissa thanks her, and Mrs. Verla returns to her seat. Then Clarissa calls Lena Kershaw. Lena testifies that she treated Monica twice in the emergency room for injuries that were inconsistent with her explanation of a fall. They suspected domestic violence, but Monica refused to confirm it. She was clearly terrified of something and begged them not to do anything. Clarissa presents medical reports, photos of my broken face, broken ribs. The judge looks at them for a long time, silently. Her face shows no emotion. Then Clarissa presents financial documents, receipts for rent, food, clothes for Kylie, school fees, medical bills, all for 3 years. Not a penny from Trent. She says, "Your Honor, Monica Turner has been supporting her daughter on her own for 3 years. She worked, paid for everything, took care of her child without any support." Mr. Collins says he searched for his daughter for 3 years, but conveniently found her shortly after learning the details of the inheritance, which passes only to Ms. Cayley's guardian. She turns on her laptop and shows a video, the same one I recorded at the bar. Trent is drunk, shouting, banging on the hood of my car. He yells about his money and how his father wrote the will specifically to make him suffer. The sound is poor, but the words are clear. The courtroom watches in silence. When the video ends, the judge looks at Trent. "Mr. Collins, do you have anything to say?" Trent stands up. His face is red, his jaw clenched. I was stressed. She was following me, provoking me. I didn't... "Sit down," the judge says coldly. He sits down. The last witness is a social worker who visited Kylie in her foster family. A young woman in her 30s, short hair, glasses. She speaks calmly, professionally. "I had 3 meetings with Kylie. The child is psychologically healthy and well-adjusted. She spoke lovingly about her mother, recalling moments they shared together, reading before bed, walks, games. When asked about her father, she responded with silence or refused to answer. She did not react positively to memories of her grandmother either. There were no signs of abuse by her mother. On the contrary, the child missed her and constantly asked when they would see each other." Clarissa thanks her. Then she adds one last thing. "Your Honor, I would also like to draw your attention to Robert Collins' will. It clearly states that $50,000 is bequeathed to his granddaughter Kylie in trust until she reaches the age of 18. The child's guardian controls these funds." Mr. Collins did not mention the inheritance in his statement, but as you could see from the video and messages, this money is his real goal. He doesn't want his daughter. He wants access to the money. The judge pauses. He looks at the papers, at Trent, at me. Then he says, "Let's take a 15-minute break. I'll make my decision after that." We go out into the hallway. I can barely stand. My legs feel like cotton wool. Clarissa says, "You did well, now we wait." I go to the bathroom and splash cold water on my face. When I come out, I see my mother. She is standing by the window, looking out at the street. I approach her and she turns around. Her face is tired, her eyes are red. "Monica, I... "What?" I interrupt. "Are you saying you did this for Kylie?" She is silent, then says quietly, I thought it would be better. You're too young to..." "To what?" I feel everything boiling up inside me. "Too alive? Too disobedient? You sold me, Mom, for $10,000. You sold your granddaughter for money, and you say it's for her sake?" Gloria looks at me, and suddenly her eyes fill with tears. "You don't understand how hard it is to be a mother. How hard..." "I know how hard it is," I say firmly, "because I've been raising Kylie practically on my own for 7 years. Without your help, without your support, you didn't care about her all these years. You didn't even come to her birthday. And when you were promised money, you suddenly remembered your granddaughter?" I take a step closer. "I know what it means to be a mother much more than you do." I turn around and walk back into the courtroom. I don't look back. The judge returns 20 minutes later. He sits down and looks at us all in turn. Then he says, "I have reviewed all the evidence and heard the witnesses. This is a difficult case, but the decision is clear to me." She pauses. Parental rights remain entirely with Monica Turner. Trent Collins is deprived of visitation rights until he completes mandatory treatment for alcohol addiction and an anger management course, which must be confirmed by the relevant certificates. Robert Collins' estate shall be transferred to Monica Turner as the legal guardian of Kylie Collins until the child reaches the age of 18. She looks at Trent. "Mr. Collins, your actions indicate that you are not interested in the welfare of the child, but in financial gain. This is unacceptable. I am also initiating an investigation into why the inheritance was not transferred to the legal guardian earlier, immediately after the testator's death, but took so long." Trent stands up abruptly, knocking over his chair. He looks at the judge, then at me. His face is contorted with anger, but he says nothing. He turns and leaves the room, slamming the door behind him. His lawyer hurries after him. Gloria sits in her seat, pale and motionless, staring ahead with a blank look. I don't approach her. I just grab my bag and leave with Clarissa. It's sunny outside, though cold. I breathe in the fresh air deeply, and for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. Clarissa squeezes my hand. "You won, Monica. Kylie will come back to you." I look at her, and tears finally spill out. The first in all this time. Not from grief, from relief. The next day, I go to pick up Kylie from her foster family. She lives in a small but cozy house on the outskirts of town. The foster mother, Mrs. Garland, a woman of about 45, meets me at the door. She smiles. "Kylie is ready. She's very happy." Kylie runs out of the room, and I see her for the first time in 3 weeks. She looks good. Clean clothes, combed hair, a smile on her face. She throws her arms around my neck, and I hug her so tightly that I'm afraid I'll hurt her. "Mommy, you came." "Of course, sweetie, I promised." We get in the car, and Kylie asks, "Are we going home?" I look at her in the rearview mirror. I smile. "Yes, sweetie. But we're moving to a different house, a nicer, better, newer one, far away from here, somewhere where we'll be safe and secure." Kylie nods, satisfied with the answer, and looks out the window. I start the engine and we drive away, not back to our old apartment, forward, to a new life. The first rays of the March sun shine through the thin curtains, and I wake up not from anxiety or nightmares, but from birds singing outside the window. It still feels strange to wake up calmly, without a tight chest, without fear that something will go wrong. It's been a long time since we moved to Bend, a small town in Ohio surrounded by mountains and pine trees. No one knows us here. No one asks where we're from, why we moved, where the child's father is. People smile on the streets, say hello, but don't pry into our lives. And that's perfect. Our apartment is small. 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, but it's ours. Clean, bright, with large windows, overlooking the mountains. I make coffee and look at the clock. It's 7:30. In half an hour, I have to wake up Kylie. She's now in 2nd grade at the local school, and she seems to like it. She has made 2 friends, Emma and Zoe. They sit together at lunch, play during recess, and sometimes come to our house. I found a job as an accountant at a small construction company called Cascade Construction. The owner, Darren Mills, is a man of about 45, with gray hair at his temples and a smile in the corners of his eyes. At the interview, I said honestly, I ran away from my past. I'm looking for peace for myself and my daughter. He didn't probe any further. He just nodded and said, "I understand. When can you start?" The job turned out to be simple. Keeping the books, paying salaries, tracking expenses. They pay $2,500 a month. Together with the inheritance, which the court allowed us to use in part for the move, it's enough for us. My coworkers are cool. No one asks about my past. I wake Kylie up at 8. She stirs under the covers, opens her eyes, smiles. I make her breakfast, oatmeal with berries. She eats slowly, talks about her day at school. I listen, nod, smile. It's so simple, just listening to your child without worrying that someone will burst through the door with bad news. Once a week, I go to see my psychotherapist, Judith. She's in her 60s, gray-haired with kind eyes. The first sessions were difficult. I'm not used to talking about my feelings, but she is patient. At one of the last sessions, she asked, "Monica, how are you feeling now?" I thought about it. Better, much better. I'm not afraid anymore. I feel free. She smiled. That's huge progress. Allow yourself to be your magnificent self. We never talk about Mom or Trent. I blocked all their numbers. Gloria sent a request through her lawyer to see Kylie. I refused, citing the psychologist's conclusion that contact with her could harm Kylie's mental health. Gloria didn't write anymore. I haven't heard from Trent either. Clarissa said he disappeared from Pittsburgh after the trial. He's probably hiding from creditors and the consequences of the investigation. That's fine with me. One Saturday morning, Darren asked, "Monica, there's going to be a harvest festival in town on Sunday. I'm taking my kids. Would you and Kylie like to come too?" I thought about it. Darren is a good man. "Why not?" I said. "Kylie loves festivals." On Sunday, we meet in the town square. Darren arrives with his 2 teenagers, his daughter Lisa and his son Noah. The fair is fun. There are food tents, music, children running and playing. Darren and I sit on a bench, watching them, drinking coffee. We talk easily, without tension. It's nice to just talk to someone who doesn't demand anything from me. The following week, Kylie is sitting at the kitchen table drawing a unicorn. Suddenly, she asks, "Mom, can I invite Emma and Zoe to my birthday party?" I smile. "Of course, sweetie." She thinks for a moment, bites her lip. "Are we not going to invite Grandma Gloria and Dad?" I sit down next to her and take her hand. "Probably not, sweetie." She nods. "Okay, it's better for me without them anyway." I hug her. Kylie smiles and goes back to her drawing. I look out the window at the mountains, their snow-capped peaks in the evening sun. I take a deep breath, and for the first time in many years, I feel like I can breathe fully. Life hasn't become perfect. I still have difficult days when memories come back. Sometimes I miss my sister. Sometimes I feel lonely. But I'm learning to live with it. I'm learning to accept that the past does not determine my future. Kylie shows me a drawing, a unicorn on a meadow with 2 figures holding hands next to it. "That's you and me, Mom." I take the drawing, and tears well up in my eyes. This is the most beautiful drawing I've ever seen. In the evening, when Kylie is asleep, I sit on the balcony and look at the stars. My phone vibrates, a message from an unknown number. I look at the mountains, at the stars, and I know that whatever decision I make now, it will be mine. No one controls my life anymore. I am free. Finally. And that's what matters most.